Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Coming up in our news tonight, the tourism minister reacts to a major resort change of plans. A woman is killed in Coconut Grove. Business is taking off for the national flag carrier, and meet Miss Supranational. Welcome to our News Weekend, and thanks for joining us. I'm GIORGIO BAIN. Topping news tonight. A woman is dead and a man is in hospital in serious condition following a shooting Friday night shortly after 8 p.m. According to police, the incident occurred on 1st Street, where a group of people were gathered outside a residence when a vehicle pulled up. 3 men exited with firearms and opened fire on the group. A man and a female were shot and were transported to hospital by private vehicle. However, the female later succumbed to her injuries. Well, days after Sandals Royal Bahamian announced a delay in its reopening to January of next year, Tourism Minister Dionisio Diaghiler says the resort will unfortunately miss out on 2 extremely busy periods. Sandals was scheduled to reopen in November, but due to ongoing renovations, the property pushed its opening back to January 27th.
Looking at the extent of the renovation that they were intending to do, which was quite extensive, and facing these supply chain problems, or looking at the supply chain problems that the construction industry was having, they said, you know what, let's push this back until the end of January. Early November is probably a little too ambitious, and we don't want to be in a scenario where people start to turn up and we're still in the middle of a construction site. That would not lead to a real positive experience for their guests. And I don't think there's anything more into it than that.
A global supply chain issue reportedly caused a shortage of materials like plywood and concrete mixture. Diaghiler says the more tourists begin to travel, Sandals is due to miss out on the busy Thanksgiving and Christmas periods.
Well, you know, 3 months over Christmas, I mean, that's your busiest period. So there's lots of time for, that's when a lot of people would be coming into your destination. That's the time, everybody always says if you can make money in the hospitality industry, that the critical period obviously is Christmas and Thanksgiving, and it's just unfortunate they're going to miss that this year. We were very much looking forward to that. So yes, it's going to be impactful in the sense that those workers are not going to be called back as quickly as we once thought. Now it's the end of January.
Following 15 months of hardship, Bahamas Air Chairman Tommy Turnquest says things are finally turning around for the national airline, which is adding new flights to its itinerary.
And heaven knows we've had a rough 15 months, so we're trying for this summer to dig out of the hole. The demand has been so good that last week we put in the system, beginning July 1st or 2nd, additional flights into Miami and Orlando. We were only going to Miami Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays. And Mondays when we go to Cuba.
Turnquest says while the airline is happy to once again be collecting revenue, Bahamas Air will not overcharge its customers.
Bahamas Air plays a very vital role in that overall travel matrix. And by that I mean we keep the prices of our competitors honest. Without Bahamas Air in the market, it could get as high as $600-700 to go to Miami. But Bahamas Air keeps the price reasonable.
Turnquest says he's hopeful that the current trajectory will improve the national flag carrier's profits, adding that it's important to maintain cost.
It's going to take us a while to get out of it, but we're encouraged. The challenge now is not to blow the advances we're making on revenues with costs. And so while we have these revenue enhancements, we also have to ensure that we have cost containment. I mean, that's obviously equally as important.
Health Minister Renwood Wells is reacting to a slight dip in COVID-19 cases over the last week. The lowest number of reported cases in recent months came in on June 18th when there were 5 confirmed cases.
I'm just happy and pleased with the fact that the numbers are going down. You would remember that I did say that as the Bahamian people become more vaccinated, that we anticipated and expected that the COVID numbers would start to go down, because that is what has been seen globally in other countries. As vaccination increases, the positive cases for COVID has gone down.
Between June 17th and June 24th, 172 cases were reported. During that period, there was an average of 24 cases a day.
The Ministry of Health is going to be doing what the Ministry of Health has been doing, which is to continue to monitor with our surveillance unit all cases of COVID-19 in country. We're going to continue to encourage the Bahamian people, even though we have that extra hour, to continue to adhere to the health protocols as we have been doing.
Well, still to come on our news, a landmark resolution to strengthen the production of medicines. Plus, the HMBN's Lawrence Major is coming home. Stay with us.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
The World Health Assembly has adopted a landmark resolution on strengthening local production of medicines and other health technologies to improve access. In April, the World Health Organization issued a call for expressions of interest to establish technology transfer hubs for COVID-19 vaccines.
Tech transfer hubs are training facilities where manufacturers from low and lower middle income countries can receive training in how to produce certain vaccines and the relevant licenses to do so. mRNA technology has been in development for decades and is the basis for at least 2 safe and effective COVID-19 vaccines. It's potentially easier to scale than other vaccine technologies and could be faster and easier to adapt to variants of concern.
That expression of interest yielding more than 50 proposals. Half of them were companies or institutions interested in receiving technology, while the other half wants to provide the technology.
Today, I'm delighted to announce that WHO is in discussions with a consortium of companies and institutions to establish a technology transfer hub in South Africa. The consortium involves a company called African Biologics and Vaccines, which will act as the hub both by manufacturing mRNA vaccines itself and by providing training to a second manufacturer called BioVac.
The South African Tech Hub is expected to produce mRNA vaccines and provide training for budding tech hubs.
In time, Afrigen could provide training to other manufacturers in Africa and beyond. The Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention will provide guidance through the Partnership for African Vaccines Manufacturing. WHO is facilitating this effort by establishing the criteria for the technology transfer, assessing the applications, developing standards, and providing ongoing support and training.
According to Ghebreyesus, while this will provide solutions in the medium term, who remains hopeful that the short-term fix of equitable vaccine distribution can be achieved.
We are now in negotiations with several companies that have indicated interest in providing their mRNA technology to the hub. This selection will be based on how advanced the technology is in terms of clinical efficacy data and on the terms under which the company is willing to share its technology. In the coming weeks, we will continue to assess proposals for other tech transfer hubs for mRNA and other technology platforms. It's important to emphasize that this is an important step that will yield results in the medium term.
The HMBS Lawrence Major is heading home after getting repairs for damage caused when it was hit by tropical tide in Suriname. According to the commander of the Defense Force, Commodore Raymond King, the AG's office is working out the legal side of things, but his concern is that the extent of the damage cannot be seen to the naked eye.
What may happen years from now? It may be as simple as a fine hairline crack. Once the ship gets under operating conditions, which may manifest in terms of. And so we should be able to still maintain some obligation from tropical. If some defect becomes evident years from now. But the legal teams, they made a proposal. It's at the AG office now for them to determine that. The vessel has been repaired. It's on its way here to New Providence, and then she goes on to Florida, Fort Pierce, to complete a dry docking.
On May 15th, while docked at the Suriname Dry Dock and Shipbuilding Shipyard, the HMBS Lawrence Major was hit by tropical tide. The initial investigation determined that there was structural damage to the vessel's port side, upper deck railing, and stairway areas. When our news comes back from the break, an aquaponics farmer says that she's looking to expand her business. Plus, we have 2 new books for your summer reading list. We have the details when our news returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
You're watching our news. Welcome back. Lettuce so good it's addictive. That's how an aquaponics farmer over on Grand Bahama describes her products. In this edition of Grand Bahama in Focus, our Jillian Gray speaks with the entrepreneur who has plans to expand her business.
Dorian brought to light just how detrimental of a position we currently are in if we have no food sustainability.
That's the premise on which Local Organics was founded. From the sweet green crisp to the red lettuce, founder Tiffany Dennison considers herself the lettuce crack dealer of Grand Bahama.
I call myself a lettuce crack dealer. I'll give you the first sample for free. After that, you're going to come back and buy.
Yeah.
So it really is superior. I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of my partner, Mr. Hall, who recently passed away, who was also the designer in this.
The peace and calm she gets from gardening is therapeutic. As Dennison tells us, the health benefits of growing your own food can be both physical and mental. Once the seeds are planted and germinated, it takes about 4 to 6 weeks to harvest.
This is a full ecological system. So it doesn't take as much water as the rest of the gardening. I mean, hydroponics takes less, but this takes even less. You fill up, you circulate, that's it. So that's why we went with this. So we have fish in a big tank down that way that we fill with either tilapia, white Pacific shrimp, or Australian red claw, which is a freshwater lobster, which I'm interested to try. And we feed them organic food. They give us the byproduct, and the byproduct is circulated through the water.
Local Organics grows 8 different variety of lettuce. Now, if you come over to these 3 ponds, you'll see that they're completely empty, but that's a good thing. Dennison says the local restaurants, hotels, and residents can't get enough of their product. They're looking to expand to continue to offer organic, homegrown lettuce to the Grand Bahama community.
We're empty right now because we sold out of everything, but the restaurants have us. So we're basically can feed our general and our farmers market with this. But the second one, we're in the grocery stores, we're in Crossright, we're in Solomon's, we're in Sawyer's. And then those 2 ponds that are there, one will be filled with Pacific shrimp, one will be filled with red claw. And right now we have tilapia in that one there.
Awesome, wow.
And that's a second leg of the business as well, is to then, as I tell the kids in high school, if the zombie apocalypse comes, at least we have fish and lettuce.
Yep, right.
So we can survive.
World Central Kitchen provided a grant to rebuild one of their systems that was damaged in Dorian, a meaningful partnership that Dennison says will help expand their operation and get them in more stores locally.
They are so supportive, so generous, not just with funds, but with the time, with the help. With anything you need, they are on hand if you call them. And what this is resulting in now is we have people that we can put into jobs. We have kids that are coming to do community work here. We're doing seminars at high schools.
Reporting for Our News Weekend, I'm Jillian Gray.
And a journalist and author on Grand Bahama is hoping to inspire and encourage others with his 2 new books. The Higher the Monkey Climbs is a new release by Andrew Coakley, who says it's a suspense novel that takes place on a fictional key called Pink Pearl Island.
The whole premise of the story is it surrounds a governor of Pink Pearl Island who's up for, well, his governorship is up, and he wants to put the governorship in his grandson. So he's priming his son to run for governor. And while all of this is happening, the crime rate on the island is escalating. And because of that, it's scaring away foreign investors, as well as the rich people of Pink Pearl Island. In fact, some of the rich people on Pink Pearl lets the governor know that if he doesn't get the crime situation under control, they're going to leave and they're going to stop foreign investors from coming in.
Then there's the inspirational book Noise, which Coakley describes as a source of encouragement for believers.
The world we live in today, we can become distracted from spiritual things because we are surrounded by so many physical and material things. Like, for instance, you could spend hours watching Netflix or television, and sometimes even believers get caught up in it and they forget to read their Bible or pray or whatever. But noise is really just to encourage believers not to get distracted. It talks about noise even inside the church. There's noise inside the church, there's distraction inside the church as well. And so I really wanted to write this book to just help believers focus on what it is they should be focused on.
The books are available at Amazon.com, Bethel's Bookstore in Freeport, and Logos Bookstore on New Providence.
The novel actually took on a life of its own, and it became something that I began to focus on, especially after I finished writing Noise. Once I was finished with the first draft of Noise, I just put it aside for about a couple months and left it, and then I focused on the novel, and it took on a life of its own, and it became more than I ever imagined it would have been. And so that's how I ended up writing two books at the same time.
From the sports beat, it's been a busy weekend for our athletes. As you've probably seen, the Rev Swim Nationals are taking place with swimmers from both the local and international scene participating. Meanwhile, Track and Field Nationals are also underway at the Thomas A. Robinson Stadium. Both Shawnee Miller-Weibo and Stephen Gardner competing on day one, winning their respective races. Competition continues through Sunday. Well, so to come on our news, Miss Supernational hopes to bring home the crown. Stay with us.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
You're watching our news. Welcome back. Cable Bahamas Business Solutions offering a new version of its business in a box package, according to head of small and medium innovations, Delmaro Duncombe.
We have packages starting as low as $189 a month. Right? That includes internet, landline telephone service, your mobile phone plan, and also television advertising, which we've always had as the kicker, right? So you have a small business or any business and you're looking for exposure. What better way to do that than by taking advantage of the advertising platform available through Cable Bahamas? So that has been included, all in there for $189 a month.
Duncombe says they are aiming to add more value to the package and service.
With mobile, we have a number of customers that's now a part of the Alive platform. But even if you're not, you can take your number and port your number over to Alive, which is going to be included as part of this overall package. Or if you're already an Alive subscriber, but you're not a corporate customer, you can take your current Alive number and add that to this package as well. So that just rounds out the entire business in a box, right? So internet, landline television, mobile, cellular, and also TV advertising. Business in a box, the right choice for your business.
Miss Supernational Bahamas Naisha Tillis is gearing up for the Miss Supernational competition scheduled for August 21st. The beauty queen, who recently released her first book, Uncaged, is excited to bring back the crown, as she says she's participating in her final pageant.
So the official date for Miss Supernational was announced, so it's going to be on August 20th. However, I leave next month for self-quarantine before I fly over to Europe, so I go into the United States first. I'm excited about that. I've been preparing, been training, working extremely hard to find sponsorship. As I would have shared in our last interview, I won the virtual competition, which was dedicated for countries with no national pageant or director. So I've been doing everything myself.
And it's not too late to support Naisha's journey. To find out more, visit the Miss Supernational Bahamas Facebook page.
Throughout my pageant journey, I've been accustomed to basically doing everything myself. So I think that this journey is one that I was prepared for, and you'll see that in the book as well. But I'm excited to be going to Europe. It's my first time in Europe, and excited to, fingers crossed, bring back one of the top 5 crowns in the world of pageantry to the Bahamas.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for our News Weekend. On behalf of the entire team, I'm GIORGIO BAIN, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow evening. The Rev Bahamas National Swim Competition continues now.